That's a good question, Jacob. The low carbon, energy efficient homes that need to be built from March 2027, with an emphasis on being comfortable to live in and easy to control. And that's where we come into it. There is a fundamental shift in building regs, the likes of which I've never seen in my 25 years in the construction industry, which means developers are having to switch on to this new standard very quickly and learn very quickly. Well, as I mentioned, they're coming into force in March 2027, but they're finally being published this year after 2 years of pushbacks, and there were several reasons for that. Lack of manpower and expertise in delivering it, one of the main issues. But it's finally published, so now developers know exactly what that standard looks like. And because of the gestation period between land purchase and cutting the ground on those projects, that means the design implications are happening right now. We have to start preparing, and developers have to start preparing for the future home standard right now, even though it doesn't come into force until 27. Yeah, so regulations are changing for sure. Part L, Part F. Part L about the building energy efficiency. Part F about ventilation, etc. So for sure the regulations are changing massively. The main goal is a 75 to 80% carbon reduction on all new homes. That's to get us back in line with our net zero 50, let's say, commitment. Air source heat pumps or a sustainable heating supply rather than a fossil fuel like gas or oil. Solar PV is a must. EV ready or EV chargers. Better ventilation, because now that we are building more efficient homes insulation wise, we have to ensure that there's ventilation coming from outside into the building and then room to room in the right way. So there's a lot of technologies being piled up on top of each other to make our homes more energy and carbon efficient. Short answer, yes. It fluctuates from hour to hour. And that's the whole point of a home energy management system. Without an energy management system pulling all of these technologies together, we can't be as efficient as possible, and therefore we run the risk of not only having different apps and different controls for everything within the home, which is confusing for the homeowner, but we also run the risk of actually that home energy bill being higher than it was before, and getting into an energy poverty situation because people don't know how to control it. Electricity is, as you said, at times of the day more expensive, and rather than it being a positive solution, which is done the right way, it certainly can be, we end off with a negative solution, and the developers end off with a lot of homeowners ringing them and making a lot of calls. Well, if you imagine, what are we building here? We're building houses for families that are used to combi boilers, gas boilers. We're building a home for people to live in, and the last thing they want is technology being put in that home that they're not familiar with, that they cannot use easily. So long gone are the days where a thermostat on the wall will do it. And if the developer doesn't want that homeowner ringing them up every 5 minutes with issues, then they've got to do one of two things. They have to design in a solution rather than disparate systems. Stop looking at this as silo technologies and bring them all together into one user-friendly interface. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is they have to find the expertise to be able to deliver that solution. And that's where Loxone comes in. In a nutshell, no. It is an added expense to reduce a huge amount of complexity. But it's not as expensive as it used to be, and it's not as expensive as people might think. It's a common misnomer. For example, a 4-bedroom detached house using a Loxone energy management system as a basic energy management system, so reducing the energy bills, pulling all of those technologies together and giving the homeowner a free app where they can intuitively control all of their systems in one place, will cost less than £1,500 installed. And we have over 800 installers across the UK that are experts in installing it. And so we'll therefore take the headache away from the developer for all of those outbound calls should anything go wrong with the system post-build. Loxone are market leaders in automation first. So we're not a company that has added automation or grown from another company to another company. We started off as an automation company, and we're one of the fastest growing companies in automation in the world. Where we fit in is we pull all of those technologies we've spoken about today into one user-friendly app. But more than that, we manage the energy. So we tell your home when it should be using its solar. We offset loading. We use spot pricing to make sure that you are using your loads at the most efficient time of the day. We can also pull in things like lighting and shading, etc. If you want to future-proof your home, Loxone is the way. Our brain will do the energy management system, as I said, for a very small cost. But then because you have the brain, you can add lighting, shading, audio, and everything else that Loxone does in its universe. So we're not part of the future home standard as a technology, but it is heavily intimated that unless you pull all of those technologies together into a home energy management system like Loxone, then you become part of the problem rather than the solution.